Hey, Freddy with CJ Pony Parts. I've showed you how to do a lot of modifications to your F-150, but one thing that's very important that you cannot overlook is an oil change. And today we're going to show you how to change your oil using our 2014 F-150 EcoBoost. First thing we're going to do is remove the oil cap just so the engine breathes a little bit better when draining the fluid. And while you're up here, it might be a good idea to check your other fluids to see if they need replaced as well. You want to make sure you're following the manufacturer's recommendation for your oil weight. In this case, we're going to be using 5W30. One of the beauties of owning a nice big truck like this is you actually don't need a lift or a jack to do the oil change, but we did put it up in the air just to give you a better view of what's going on down here. What we're going to do now is remove the drain plug on the oil pan. It's a 15mm bolt. Before you remove the drain plug, you want to make sure you have a proper catch for the oil. You want to position the pan a little bit away from the plug because chances are the oil will come shooting out. Now when loosening this, to try to make the smallest mess possible, you want to apply pressure on the bolt so when you get all the threads out, it's still in the pan, and then you can pull the bolt away as quickly as possible. So right now the bolt is all the way out, but I'm pushing onto it so it's kind of sealed. Then you can just pull it away. With all the oil out, we can reinstall the drain plug. Then you can tighten it up, but don't crank on it too hard. You don't want to strip the threads on the oil pan. Just want to make it snug. If this is your first time under the truck or the first time doing an oil change, you might be wondering, where is the oil filter? It's not in plain sight anywhere. It's actually hidden right behind this splash shield. And the filter is actually up here. So the filter is located right here in front on the bottom of the engine, but depending on who installed your filter last, you may or may not need an oil filter wrench to remove it. So we place the oil drain pan underneath this rubber square here. This is where the oil is going to come out when you remove the filter. So before you remove the filter, remove this square. And then the oil will drain right out of here into the pan. And let the oil drain into the catch can. Place your filter into the drain pan and let it drain completely. Now you can reinstall the rubber square. And put on the new filter. Here's the oil filter that we're going to be using. It's a Motorcraft FL500S filter, and before I install it, I'm going to apply oil to the gasket just to make sure it seals properly. I'm just going to pour a little bit of oil on the top, stick my finger in the oil, and then rub the oil on the gasket. Double check and make sure the gasket came off the old filter. If it didn't and it's still on the engine and you go to install the new filter, you're going to have a bad time. Finally, install the new filter. You want to install this filter by hand. You do not want to put it on with an oil filter wrench. Only use a wrench to take it off. And just make it nice and tight by hand. Reinstall the splash guard. Get all the push pins back in place. And then the twist clips. Now we can go up top and add the oil. It's not entirely necessary, but we will be using a funnel to add the oil to this engine. Both EcoBoost engines require 6 quarts of oil. We got all 6 quarts in. Remove the funnel, clean off any of the dripping oil so you don't make a mess, and reinstall the oil cap. Once you get all the oil in, you can start the engine and check for any leaks. Then you want to make sure you dispose of the oil properly. Your local auto parts store will probably take the oil. The oil change should only take about 30 minutes, and before you know it, you'll be heading down the road.